the dark arts of playing mind games.
Conor McGregor, the first time I fought him, 100%, no doubt about it.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? For First We Feast, I'm Sean Evans, and you're watching Hot Ones. It's the show with hot questions and even hotter wings. And today we're joined by Dustin the Diamond Poirier. He's the #1 ranked UFC lightweight, fresh off his win against Conor McGregor at UFC 257. He does amazing work with his foundation, The Good Fight, and as fate would have it, he also has a hot sauce, Poirier's Louisiana style. For my money, the best new sauce of the year. Dustin Poirier, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. A longtime fan and spice lover as well.
How do you think you'll do today? What is your headspace like going into this 10-win gauntlet?
I'm focused, I'm prepared, I put in the work these last 31 years, and I think I can do it. Let's do it.
So when Ronda Rousey was on the show, one of the things I found most fascinating about our conversation is her profound understanding of the human body and which ligaments and joints are most vulnerable. Thinking back on your last fight, what is it about the cumulative effect of calf kicks that makes them so devastating?
I've been on both sides of the calf kick game, and it's very painful because the swelling has nowhere to go. The way your calf is constructed, the swelling can't spread throughout the rest of your leg. It stays compartmentalized in the calf, and it affects the nerves in your foot. It's called compartment syndrome. You can actually lose the use of your foot. When I had it done to me in New York a few years back, I went to the hospital. They wanted to cut me open to relieve the pressure inside of my leg, and it's painful, man. It's bad stuff.
What is the most painful submission technique in your experience?
The most painful? I don't like leg stuff, man. Heel hooks, knee bars, anything with the legs, it just feels too funky for me. Slightly bit spicier.
Of all of your UFC opponents, who pound for pound has the heaviest strikes?
Conor McGregor is the heaviest handed guy I've ever fought. And I knew that going into this last one. So I had a good awareness, and that was 6 years ago, but you don't forget those kind of things.
Besides Conor, who would you describe as the most complete fighter you've ever faced?
At the time, I would say Korean Zombie. When I fought him back in, I think 2012 maybe, he was probably the most complete guy that I've run into up to that point. A little spicier here.
So when you reach the pinnacle of a sport like you have, there's oftentimes a lot of folklore surrounding the difficult road that it took to get there. I've heard you say that some of your amateur fights had non-standard rules. What did you mean by that, and can you give us an example?
I've fought amateur fights where they ask everybody raise their hand if you want to be allowed to throw elbows tonight. And it's amateur fighting. You shouldn't be allowed to throw elbows. But we're fighting at a rodeo arena. I mean, dude, everybody's coming back to the locker room, split open, stitches everywhere. Everybody's busted open. These kids just aren't at that level, and they're allowing us to throw elbows. Or I've been to events where the same thing, we go to the rules meeting, and they say, a couple fights fell off of the card, so these fights aren't going to be 3-minute rounds, they're going to be 5-minute rounds. So now you're fighting 5-minute amateur rounds. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, and seeing that struggle, can you give me one thing that you miss about those days, and then another thing that you don't miss at all? Like one high and one low.
One high for sure is all my family and friends from Louisiana can drive to the event. Now I'm fighting across the world, and not too many people can make it. I really miss that, having everybody there. One of the things I don't miss is shady promoters, man. There's some slime balls in this business, and you got to chase them for your money, and checks bounce, or you break your hand and they don't cover the medicals. It's a slimy business.
All right, up next, here's a post-fight vibe check after your win over Dan Hooker. Who in your career, when you think back, what has been the worst morning after bangover?
The bangover, dude. Correct. When I fought Justin Gaethje out in Arizona, he partially tore my quad. So I couldn't really walk. Getting on the flight, I guess the elevation or whatever made my legs swell so much I couldn't bend my knee. I was just walking around with my leg was like a big link of sausage, bro. I'm dragging it around. I can't move it. It's shiny. It's red. That hurt.
And then
feeling strong, man. You know, you hear in your corner screaming. The crowd's going crazy. You see the boss there. This is nice here, yeah. But in that moment, that's what I enjoy most about fighting. When I think about fights and stuff, it gives me anxiety. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. But what I enjoy the most is walking through the fire and being put in that position. That's where I feel comfortable. The world slows down and nothing else matters but that moment. And it's a special time. It's the realest thing you can do is hand-to-hand combat in the moment with someone trying to take you out. I love it.
Staying on who's the craftiest fighter you've ever faced when it comes to the dark arts of playing mind games?
Conor McGregor, the first time I fought him, 100%, no doubt about it. The art of war was on full display. He might have beat me before the fight started, man. Talked about Louisiana, talked about my family, talked about my skill set, whatever he could say. I was a young fighter at the time, and I just thought about everything he said too much. Then I would read comments and I would read articles of what critics and media are saying and stuff like that. And as I matured in the sport, I realized I just got to focus on what I can control. Let's dive in, man.
Let's dive in. I won't mention any names because it's probably beneath you to address it in any specific way, but I am curious about your thoughts when it comes to these YouTuber boxing matches. There does seem to be two schools of thought. You know, those who think that the excitement around these events is good for the sport, and then the other school of thought being that this is a total embarrassment to boxing. Where do you fall on that spectrum?
Right? If you're selling pay-per-views, it's entertainment, but at the same this one's hot, man.
Yep.
I think I poured too much on this one.
It looks like it.
I know the instructions told me to measure. I did not. I'm going to be honest. If you're selling pay-per-views and you're in the business of making money, it's entertainment. I understand that. So I know why these guys are getting pushed and all this stuff. But if you're a true boxing fan, I see on that side as well, why you don't want these guys to be representing a sport that you love, or the casual fans out there, when they talk about combat sports, you don't want them to think of somebody who's misrepresenting people who've worked their whole entire lives to master a craft that very few do, you know? But it's business. I understand what's going on.
When you see like internet clout monsters cutting these WWE style promos against like actual elite professional fighters, does that cross a line to you, or is that just something that goes with the territory these days?
It crosses the line to me because I'm one of these guys who can really scrap. I wish that these guys would get the fights that they're calling for and get in there with real opponents, and then we see who's talking after. Let's go, man. I'm feeling it.
I've heard that you are trying to go after your own food show. Do you have an elevator pitch while you die on the bomb? Because, when you're ready to go, you might have a home here at First We Feast.
I got it here. Food fight with Dustin Poirier. We go to different cities. I check out a couple local gyms. I train with the guys there. Then we go to local restaurants. I get in the kitchen, cook a little bit, hear about their story. Food fight, Diamante, boom.
I'm sold. Schoenberger, Order the Run, 20 episodes, out the gate.
Put the stamp. My eyes watering. I'm starting to sweat. I'm trying not to compartmentalize. I'd rather the burn be everywhere except exactly where it's at. I'd love to spread this out a little bit, man, but I can't. It's getting hotter. I'm trying my best to be tough right now, man. I don't even taste the flavor. It's just burn. The flavor is burn.
Right, just straight fire.
Yeah.
So I know that one of the ways that you used to unwind between fights back in the day was you joined a bowling league in your native Louisiana. If you don't mind me asking, what's your average score?
I was average about 165. I know it's not the best, but it's an average. That's my average. You know, the camaraderie of just a bunch of guys that work all week and can't wait to be off of work, finally go to the bowling alley, get some beers down, knock some pins down, and have some fun, man. It's just good friendship, good camaraderie. Kind of the same thing that I started going to jiu-jitsu gyms for, obviously to learn how to fight and get better, but then I realized that I enjoy being around these guys. You know, when I'm not choking them, we have good conversation. Let's go, man.
So here we are at the end of our 10-round bout against the Wings of Death, and there's only one obstacle left in the way before the final bell. You know, I'm so proud of you making this hot sauce that is so distinctly you, in the Louisiana style, and even working with Heartbeat, which is one of the great makers. So now that you have a sauce that's distinctly you, I want to play a hot sauce name association game where I'll call out a couple of these bottles and you just tell me the first fighter it reminds you of, okay? A mild sauce like the classic, the first one that we tried.
The mild sauce like a classic. A classic sauce is one you can use every day. Frankie Edgar is a fighter's fighter. You can always trust him. Trust on him.
What about this 7 spot, the Torchbearer Honey Badger?
The Honey Badger. A buddy of mine named Jake Hume, the Honey Badger, actually. Unpredictable and wild, man, just like this sauce.
The Bomb Beyond Insanity.
The Bomb Beyond Insanity. Mike Perry, because he's insane.
And then finally, the one we just had, Last Dab Apollo.
Last Dab Apollo, let's go with Conor McGregor. This is that one-hitter quitter. All you need is one drop.
Put the hot one strap on Dustin Poirier, taking on the Wings of Death.